It is a new year, and Congressman Bradley Byrne has set plenty of goals for 2016.
Alabama Congressman Bradley Byrne is getting personal while defending gun rights in America.
This is not an abstract issue to me. My grandfather was shot and killed by a mentally ill person, and it devastated my family, devastated my mother and my grandmother and my two uncles. So when we talk about people who've been shot by mentally ill people, I understand this. I understand what it does to the victims. But we're not going to solve this problem if we're not going to talk about changing the mental health policy of the United States. Let's talk about that.
And welcome back, everyone, to Mardi Gras back here in downtown Mobile. Enjoyed seeing the parade in Gulf Shores. I'm Peter Albrecht along with Devin Walsh.
We are so happy to welcome Congressman Bradley Byrne. Thanks so much for stopping by.
It's great to be here. What a great day this is.
It is. And you were telling me that you have celebrated Mardi Gras for how many years?
My mother brought me down here when I was 1 year old. I'm 61. That means 60 years.
Wow.
So, a lot of changes in Mardi Gras, but a lot of things still the same.
Here along the Gulf Coast, happening today, Congressman Bradley Byrne, he kicks off his Listening to You Town Hall Meeting Tour that starts in Saraland. Tour will include 10 stops in each of the 6 counties, which make up Alabama's 1st congressional district. All the town hall meetings are free and open to the public.
Around 350 high school leaders met at the Mitchell Center today for Congressman Bradley Byrne's annual leadership workshop.
Mr. Speaker, last week the world lost a literary giant and Alabama lost a legend. A native of Alabama's 1st congressional district, Nell Harper Lee was born in and died in Monroeville, Alabama. The city served as an inspiration for the town of Macomb in her legendary novel, To Kill a Mockingbird.
In the wake of today's deadly attacks in Brussels, Alabama, Congressman Bradley Byrne took the Secretary of Defense to the woodshed, reminding Secretary Ash Carter by law he was required to present a plan to defeat ISIS by February 15th. Today, still no plan.
Will be in front of you imminently. With
Mr. Secretary, that's not my question. The statute says you shall do it by February the 15th. Do you not agree that you are in violation of that law?
Right to fish in our waters. I mean, this is sort of basic to who we are as Americans, going back to the beginning of America.
A lot of people on the Gulf Coast agree with Congressman Bradley Byrne when it comes to restrictions on red snapper season.
Bradley Byrne, U.S. House Speaker Paul Ryan, and other House colleagues say they're working to lift Americans out of poverty. Tuesday, they unveiled what they're calling the Better Way agenda, which they say has several points to help battle poverty in both inner city and rural city areas.
Because we treat poverty like it's a chronic, incurable disease, and we put out a lot of money to just deal with the effects, or so we think.
Alabama Congressman Bradley Byrne speaking at the U.S. House today, condemning the attacks in Orlando and asking for unity.
In moments like this, it is my hope that we can come together as a nation and as a people instead of turning against one another. If we allow these attacks to pull us further apart, then we have done exactly what the attacker intended to achieve.
Breaking news into our newsroom, U.S. House of Representatives have just passed that amendment which would block funding to house illegal immigrant children. Congressman Bradley Byrne proposed the amendment. It would prevent the Department of Defense from using any money to build or modify facilities to house these children.
More good news for Mobile's economy and Austell, USA. The U.S. House has passed the Defense Appropriations Act, which includes funding to build 3 more LCS vessels. President Obama and Defense Secretary Ash Carter had proposed to scale back the LCS program, but there was pushback from the Navy and several on Capitol Hill. Next up, negotiations with the Senate, but Congressman Bradley Byrne is confident, saying there's been strong bipartisan support for the LCS program.
Bradley Byrne released a statement following the ruling. It reads, once again, the Obama administration has suffered defeat due to their failure to follow the Constitution and the laws of our country. This decision is a major victory for the rule of law and our opposition to illegal executive amnesty.
And breaking at noon, the Department of Health and Human Services will not be housing illegal migrant children in Baldwin County. That decision comes after the White House considered a plan to relocate thousands of immigrant children to 2 military airstrips for a temporary housing in Baldwin County. Now, Congressman Bradley Byrne was among several state leaders against that move. He says the decision is good news for local residents.
And I think with everything that they heard, not just from me, but from other leaders across our region,
that they realized that this was not a good idea. And I'm glad they went ahead and said it so that we don't have to deal with it any longer.
Congressman Byrne has led the charge against that proposal along with Florida Congressman Jeff Miller.
Alabama Congressman Bradley Byrne is learning more about what local law enforcement experiences on a daily basis. He went on a ride-along with deputies in southern Baldwin County. Congressman Byrne says it's important for government leaders to know what a day in the life of an officer is like.
An appreciation for just how important the job is that they do and how important it is that we stand with them and behind them as they do the very difficult job of protecting the rest of us.
Congressman Byrne also met with several African-American faith leaders to discuss the climate of law enforcement and its interaction with the public.
Alabama Congressman Bradley Byrne toured parts of the state to see how organizations are helping in the fight against poverty. Today's tour was called A Better Way to Fight Poverty Tour. Congressman Byrne also talked about what programs work and which ones do not. Byrne made stops in Washington County and downtown Mobile.
Congressman Bradley Byrne was selected to give the weekly Republican address released Saturday morning. Now, that address sometimes runs opposite the president's weekly address, sometimes counters the administration's policy proposals. Not this week, though. This week's address with Congressman Byrne was shot inside Feeding the Gulf Coast. Byrne talked about ways of addressing poverty in the United States.
We need to combine the present jumble of programs into just a few that can meet people's needs. These programs should make sure every adult who can work has the education and skills to find a good-paying job in the 21st century economy.
Good news for the Mobile area. Today, Congressman Bradley Byrne announced the construction of a new VA clinic, which was one of his top priorities. The new VA clinic will replace the current outdated clinic on Spring Hill Avenue in Mobile.
It's an honor for the port city and its shipbuilding history. The word came in this morning from Washington, D.C. Navy Secretary Ray Mabus announcing the names of two littoral combat ships. One of them is going to be called the USS Mobile. Congressman Bradley Byrne was there for the announcement, signing the artist's rendering and talking about Mobile's nautical history.
We have some encouraging news for Gulf Coast oystermen this morning. The House of Representatives has now adopted an amendment from Congressman Bradley Byrne supporting Gulf Coast oysters.
Byrne is trying to put local veterans at ease. Dozens of vets came out to the Battleship Pavilion yesterday expressing their concerns during a town hall meeting with Byrne. They discussed the fight against what he called radical Islamic terrorism.
Time. And on this, the morning after, business leaders on the Eastern Shore were looking to Congressman Bradley Byrne for answers.
We're going to make America great again? We got to start acting like it today.
People in this room see a better financial future without the Affordable Care Act and the president's overtime rule. Byrne's labor laws and EPA regulations will change to benefit the small business owner.
Were you surprised by the Attorney General nomination?
No, I wasn't, because I knew that Jeff Sessions was the right person for that job, and I knew among all the people they were looking at, not just because of his loyalty to Mr. Trump, but because of his background, all those years as a U.S. Attorney General of the state of Alabama, his long experience in the Judiciary Committee. Mr. Trump made exactly the right choice.
Certain now before Congress that you may not have heard much about, but you could soon. It's called the 21st Century Cures Act, and it provides money for, among other things, research for diseases that don't have a cure.
This is a huge step forward in trying to provide real solutions for health care problems that we have today in America that we don't have solutions for.
Congressman Bradley Byrne was one of the 344 House members who voted for the 21st Century Cures Act.